Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, everybody in Cyberland. It's your favorite Babalao. At least I hope so. Umodum, Odileke coming at you with a video based on some feedback that I was receiving. And it's kind of a two-pronged approach when I talk about this video because I'm going to revisit what it is when I speak about good character, which we like to refer to, right, as Pele. And then I want to revisit on who we are because I think it's important for us to understand who we are and what we are in order for us to follow what is good character. Because without understanding the foundation and the origin, you truly don't know where you're going and how you need to get there, which in this case is the good character. But there's a lot of different aspects to this. So I want to go ahead and I want to kind of break something down. One, whenever you're asked, what faith do you believe in? What religion are you part of? I tell many people, I said, listen, my faith comes from a line of Yoruba, Nigerian, African descent. Okay? That right there automatically draws many questions to people because of what we have as major religions, right? We all understand that the Abrahamic religions have a huge influence in Western civilization around the world. It is what it is, right? But what is it that brings us all to the table is what's important. And I'm not going to touch on the faith versus religion. I did a video on that already. But I think it's important to understand where do we come from in order to know how we need to get there. And the first things first, and I like to tell many people, I have this discussion with priests, I've had this discussions with rabbis before, I've had this discussions with many different spiritual leaders, is that at the end of the day, we all believe in God. We all believe in a single entity that created the world and did something which resulted in humans stepping foot on something that was built by a single being, right? So we believe in Olodumare, the all-powerful, the supreme being. And when we believe in a supreme being, we understand that all supreme beings in their infinite wisdom, no matter even us as human beings, we are children of that supreme being. We have an inherent action that we all do, which is we lead. We all have children and we lead them, right? We all have governments that lead people. We all have doctors that help people. We all have lawyers that help people. The concept there is that there's always a hierarchy of some sort because that's just the way the world was taught to rotate. For us, for example, Olodumare created three entities that are very important for us to understand so we can understand the basis on if we understand the foundation, we know how to walk. Knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. That is what our faith delivers to us. So, understanding that, then to explain to someone else who does not know about our religion, it's very easy to now work backwards and say, okay, look at us today. If I wasn't smart enough to gather the knowledge, or if I wasn't smart enough to listen and learn and understand, then I will never get to a place where I am wise. For it is only the wise that we are going to learn. And it's a cycle of evolution. Cycle of evolution. So knowledge, understanding, and wisdom become a center block in our foundation and our faith. In Ifa, in Ocha. And for everybody out there, I'm a Babalao. So I'm going to speak Ifa. I'm not going to necessarily speak Ocha, but I will mention the sign Olbeyono. And in Olbeyono, this is where we talk about the discipline, the correctness, the family unity of life. not just within your biological family, your spiritual family. At work, you have a family. But family unity is in everything you go and you touch. There's people that look at you as a leader, people that look at you as mentors. Maybe you see someone as a leader or a mentor, someone you gravitate to for advice. So when we think about that, we got to look at what is our faith, what is our religion. So the answer to the question for everybody out there, if someone approaches you, what is your faith? My faith is beautiful. My faith is pure. My faith teaches one supreme being, Olodumare, whose first three creations was knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. And through that foundation, I walk here today, understanding, listening, and please quote Ifa, Olbeyono, discipline, family unity. So when we talk about this and we talk about Olbeyono, then why do people look at our faith differently? And it's because no matter what in our faith, people are going to look at what is different and in what is unknown as maybe a threat. And it's human nature for people to do those type of things because sometimes not everybody's going to be mature enough to have the discipline or beyono or the family unity to understand that mankind we are one of our own. If I look at you, I'm not looking at what you worship. I'm looking at you as a person. I'm looking at you as a consciousness. I'm looking at you as a child of Olodumare. Through his essence, through his power, he created us. And through knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, we understand that we need to conduct ourselves. So, with that said, that's our foundation, right? That is where we come from. Without getting into too much of the technical aspects of all the divinities and all that thing, no, that is the foundation of what we do. And then somebody asks, well, what about, the blood sacrifice and this, that, and the other? Listen. Through consecration and through prayer and through what we do in order to get to the graces of God is no different than how you get to your graces of God. Maybe you get your graces of God going to the altar and sitting down in the pews and throwing money in a basket and praying and going up and down when the priest tells you to go do it. Or if the Aman says, this is my interpretation, then that's how we're going. All that can be found in Ifa. All of it can be found in Ifa. We give much respect and love to all our Abrahamic religions. We give respect and love to all religions as a religious tolerance faith that we are. But now that we understand what the foundation is, let's pay attention to now how do we walk, right? You have to crawl before you can walk. So here's the foundation. And now, as you begin to walk in life, you start to think, man, if Olodumare said knowledge, understanding, and wisdom are important, then I should start to conduct myself in that manner. And then that brings us to what is good conduct. Iwa, Pele. And I want to reference a story that I once I read, or maybe an elder brought it up to me. I'm not gonna take credit, but I want to make sure that we all on the same page on what is Iwapele. And typically through our oral traditions, we understand better what is things based on stories. So there's a story about a woman that was named Iwa. And Iwa was the most beautiful maiden in the land. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everybody wanted to marry her. Every king, every prince, every suitor, everybody wanted to marry this one woman. No one can figure it out. Orula consulted with Ifa. How can I have this woman in my life to be my partner? Right? So anyway, he does consults, boom and boom. No different than how we we conduct ourselves today with our faith, right? You consult, they tell you to do an embo, you do your embo in order for you to gain what is necessary in your life. But we'll talk more about the concepts of that in a minute. So Rula does it. He wins the hand of this woman, right? Iwa. They're married many years. And one day, Urula returns home. The food's not on the table or the food is not cooked, whatever the scenario was, and he got upset and he started to yell because his ebo came with a prohibition, a taboo. We'll call it an iwo. Do not do. You're gonna do this, this, and this, but here's the fine print. You cannot. And he could not lose his character, right? So for doing that, the wife said, "Okay." Made the food. He got his food. He ate. The next day, she packed her stuff and was gone. Right? Went back. Went back to the, we'll call it heaven, right? We went back to heaven. And, Orula searched for her up and down. Orula went to heaven, went to see, hey, where are you? He even disguised himself and finally found her. And from that day forward, right? He began, well, not that day forward, but at that day, he began to beg her for forgiveness, beg her to come back. And she refused. The most beautiful maiden in the land, Iwa. So we use that story to say that in order to reach, right, the graces of heaven, in order to reach the most beautiful and fairest woman in the land, right? In order to reach that greatness, that we always need to remember good character. Iwa Pele. But more importantly, how do we get to Iwa Pele? So there's stories that talk about who is Iwa Pele, but in order to understand who Iwa Pele is, we gotta see how do you get to Iwa Pele, and you talk about who is the father of Iwa Pele, right? Because the father of good conduct is patience. So if I tell you you need to be patient in order for you to gain good character, because your foundation sits on knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, you begin to walk a little different in life, don't you? You begin to understand that you need to be patient. You begin to understand that you have to be understanding. You begin to see that this faith is more than just, hey, let's go do an ebo or let's go get some personal gain. No, this faith is a lifestyle that changes everything. And that brings me to my next point. We need to understand who we are. Okay. And I made a couple of notes here because I want to say, hey, it's important to understand some things because our faith is very tricky. And I think I find myself telling this to a lot of initiates into this faith that make that pack, right? Whether you're making that pack through initiation or any initiation in any religion, I would talk specifically for Ifa. I'll talk to you based on my lineage in Afro Cubano, right? In Criollo style of Ifa, right? We give warriors. And with those warriors, we also give mano de orula. They can be done separately, but typically we get them together. And through that process, on the third day, you get an ita that tells you a primary odun that you walk. Right? It's your destiny sign, and I've said this through many different videos. But we're talking about conduct, right? And in that sign, it talks about how you should conduct yourself. That is your ita. Those are every sign or every person, basically, with a certain sign, based on many other factors. We talk about iwos. We talk about these prohibitions. We talk about these restrictions, and these iwos grow based on not only what is in the odum, but what is the iwos of your house. Where is the iwos of where you live? What are the iwos, right, of your abatori? And when we talk about abatari, we talk about, and you've heard me say, your guardian orisha. When people cross over into ocha, right? They get initiated. They go through initiation processes, a couple of things in between, and then they get crowned their head, right? They're a batori. And I'm not speaking about your ori. I'm saying your batori is your guardian orisha. right? And even your guardian Orisha, when you figure out who your guardian Orisha is through your hand of Orula, even before you get crowned, you have to learn what are the evils, the prohibition, the good character that is required for you to walk as a Omo Chango, Omo Ogun, Omo. It doesn't matter. Because even the guardian Orishas come down from a manifestation of nature. And even they have their limits on how things need to flow in order for that energy current to flow. So it's important for us to understand who is our um, uh, Abatori. We need to understand what is our sign in Mano de Orura. We need to understand who's your Ori. That's why it's very important for people to go through the ceremony of Ori so you can better unlock and better understand how do we walk in this world. So there was two things there that I truly, truly wanted you to make sure that you took from this video today. One is understanding the foundations of what this faith is. When we talk about one single God, creating three entities that serve as a cornerstone to our foundation and our faith, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, understanding Iwa Pele, understanding the pataki of Iwa Pele, so we can understand where Orula went wrong for losing patience, because patience leads to good character. And then when we start to peel back that onion a little bit and we talk about beyond patience, good character, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom, and we begin to initiate into this faith, then we then need to understand other aspects of our guardian Orisha. What Odums do we have in Mano de Orula? If you happen to get crowned one day, what signs come out of Dileguns? Because in the Sion Beyono is where we learn that we must respect the evils of both celestial and terrestrial, earthbound and universal. So both strategic and tactical. We need to be able to bring them together in order to build kind of this force field around you so that you walk in good character. And I tell you that because let's go back to what I said earlier. Patience is the father of good character. There's another hidden meaning in there, and I'm hoping you caught that. When I say patience is the father of good character, we also refer to our elders. And to me, my personal perspective is that your elders is the first evil that you need to respect. The first prohibition that you should ever learn is going to be respect my elders, because your elders are the one that are going to partake knowledge. They're going to teach you understanding, and they're going to pass on wisdom, which I just mentioned are your foundation, your cornerstone foundation in this faith. So your elders are very important. When you begin to get into some of the negativity of life, when you talk about gossip, you talk about people behind their backs, you're not respecting your godparents, you're talking bad about your godparents, maybe you have more negative or ill feelings towards your elders, you begin to see how things will deteriorate themselves because you are pushing against the very foundation that God Himself has set up for us to do. So we got to be very careful about those things. And we got to be very careful to understand who we are, because you're different and I'm different. My evils are going to be different than your evils. I'm a son of Changu. I'm a Babalao. I got itas that I need to look at and follow. I have other orishas consecrated, right? And I went through initiations that I need to listen to what they are telling me. I have to listen to what they are telling me how to walk. Because this faith is not about personal gain. It's not about let me go receive this stuff so I can go win the lotto and I can go get away from the cops and I want to go do this, because there's no need. You receive your warriors, your mano de orula. You attend your ancestors because ancestor worship is important, and you respect your abatori, your ori, your head, and you take some of the foundational lessons, whether it's from your itai, your equals, the knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. You have patience, and you walk those very consecrated tools and the initiations you went through that told you not to do those things will set everything in motion for you. Your life will be better. You'll find the right person, and to be with if you don't already have somebody. The children will be there. Your happiness will be there, and that's the most important thing because you'll get the prosperity, the tranquility, the health, the blessings. It all find itself. Everything will work itself out, all because Pele, good character. So I said a lot, but I said it because I think there needs to be a thorough understanding of how this faith shifts. Because I'm not naive to the game either. I can go to many places and I can get many phone calls. And when people do, hey, can you do a consultation? Or hey, I need to resolve this problem. Or hey, I, and they forget that you forgot about the I. It's not about I, it's about what did the big man upstairs and how am I supposed to conduct myself in order to get the things that I want, in order for me to push the negativity away, in order to walk a line. Those things are important. And I'm not saying brujeria is not part of the system and things, because I'll be the first one to tell you, I'll do brujeria 24/7 when it's warranted. When it's warranted. Because people need it. Right? For me personally, I got a bubble around me. And if people want to attack, hey, defense, right? Defense is number one, and those are things that that are common. But to come to the feet, Babalao, to Orula, to Ifa, in essence, Olodumare, to ask for personal gain, follow the message, follow the breadcrumbs, and I promise you, it will lead you to a fortune. And a fortune is not always money. A fortune could be many things. So, with that said, remember knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Remember that you need to have patience. Remember that my number one taboo, my prohibition, whatever you want to call it, the evil, is respect your elders, respect your godparents, respect the faith. Godparents come and go, and I get that. Not everybody gets to work things out, but you guys already know that. If you need something, you email me. My wife and I, we're here 100% to help anybody at any given time. Am I going to ask you, did you go to your godfather? Yeah, absolutely. Am I going to say, did you go to your godmother? Absolutely. Right? Because I think that's important. Because I think that respect needs to be in that place. But if it doesn't work and it's deteriorated, do I have an inherent responsibility to help you? Absolutely. Because that's my job. That was the fine print when I did Ifa. The fine print. Babalao. Help mankind. Help save them through their troubles so that they can get back to the foundations that they were designed to go through. So with that said, I said a mouthful. But always remember, conduct yourself correctly. Next time somebody asks you, what's this faith about? You let them know. This faith is about good character, about good people, about family unity, about correcting and being ethical and moral in life. Because that's what Olodumare asked us to do. So that we can be more knowledgeable, more understanding, and become wise. So that we can pass that on. So with that said, Iburu, Iboya, Ibuche, Che, Cyberland, Ache.